Hi, marketers. This is Dots, and welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast. With me here is Mark Yeramian, co-founder and CEO at Moast. We'll be discussing user-generated content and why some might think it's the best marketing strategy. This is a very interesting one, especially for me. So let's get into it. Mark, welcome. How are you doing?
Hey, Dodd. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good, here in the snowing city of Calgary. I'm sure it's snowing on your end as well. So,
In Montreal,
uh,
it's snowing as well. Yeah.
yeah, so that makes us I guess that makes me feel better. Let's put it that way. In terms of, before I even get into a topic at all, I would like you to tell us about yourself, your background, for those who don't know you. This is the, you know, a drum roll, trumpet blowing moment. So we need to get all your successes.
Okay. Well, I mean, my background's not that interesting. I lifelong career in marketing. I ran I like to say a boutique digital services agency for about 5 years,
Mm,
and just worked with a handful of clients, primarily in the e-commerce space. So just building websites, doing paid media, helping with marketing strategy. And we always kept it boutique because marketing was kind of, or the agency was a way to build ideas alongside it and build products alongside it. So, while we ran the agency, we built a few different, startups and platforms, but that's all led us to where we are today, which is Most. And, Most is thankfully now our full-time work and efforts. And it's interesting because Most is a solution to a problem I experienced directly running my agency. So it's nice to be able to build something out of necessity, so to speak.
yeah. I didn't plan this question, but how did you come up with the name Most? I love it. It's
Yeah.
just there, you know.
Yeah, you like it? Okay, good to hear.
Yeah.
We get mixed feedback about the name, but the name Most and my partner came up with it. Uh, you know, Naming a startup is just so messy and there's so many different directions to go. We
Yeah.
just wanted something short and sweet and with a clean URL. And Most really doesn't mean anything, to be honest. So it's just a name that actually kind of stands out for people because they're like
Yeah,
Most
it sounds
toast.
like a real word.
Yeah, but it's not. So, yeah, that's
Wow.
the unexciting story behind Most.
No, 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 it's exciting for me because I
Mhm.
was able to figure out that it's just there, it
Yeah.
was a good one. So that's nice. Okay, so into the topic here, while stalking you, something we do a lot with our guests, we saw a data point on, almost 80% of consumers loving, user generated content in general, and having that as a means to impact their purchasing decisions. So do you want to tell us about these insights? I know that you probably trust what your friend tells you compared to what somebody else tells you, or you trust a thought leader. But I think this goes deeper, especially in your space and as you do direct to consumer marketing. So tell us about the insights and more.
Yeah, I mean, it actually, I mean, it goes deeper in how we're approaching the problem and how we're approaching UGC, but the value and the benefits of UGC are really that simple as you've outlined. I mean, I think what it comes down to today is online shopping is the most convoluted and messy it's ever been. You
Mhm.
you have Shopify stores that are popping up left, right, and center. In fact, launching launching a Shopify store today could cost less than $6,000, all in to get up and running on average. So it's really cheap. And because of that, I think the stat is 23 uh, million stores launch every year.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, it's a very messy space. And then what happens is from a shopper perspective, you're overloaded with options and places to buy. And when you're going through your shopping experience, you'll have, the brand that you're looking at site open, you'll have three or four competitor sites open, you'll have, YouTube, Trustpilot, Google, Reddit, all these other marketplaces and platforms that you're looking to get information on.
Mm,
And what we found is brands are looking for what we like to call that aha moment. That aha moment is when they're like, okay, this product is right for me from this brand. I'm ready to add to cart and checkout. That's all a shopper really wants.
yeah.
And what we found is not only the ability to kind of relate to a brand's customers through UGC is a great way to get to that aha moment, but
Mm,
we ended up which I'm sure we'll get into. We take that a step further. We allow shoppers to connect with the brand's customers and ask
Mm.
questions, and in some cases meet up in person before buying that product. So that's kind of our twist on UGC. It's creating content and making it interactive and conversational, and it's a core. It's non-negotiable when it comes to running e-commerce in 2023 and beyond, in 2024, sure.
Yeah, 2024. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And yes, I've got some questions around, how that really works. Maybe a few spin-offs as well. But for now, let's look at the concept as a whole. You know, I most of us are self-taught marketers, right? I was a computer science major, dumped everything, and went straight into marketing as I graduated. And we've known about UGC, so it's not particularly a new time. But every time I think about it, I think, should it even be limited to content only, for example? Should it even be limited to certain channels like social media, for example? Why should it, in its meaning, not be called, user generated marketing? Because it's now way bigger than what is conventionally done in that space. So is that something you sort of agree with? Maybe not the UGM specifically, because you know, terminologies in marketing is like a pandemic these days. So we all
Yeah.
just have to take it easy. But yeah, tell me about that. Like, how has the scope of user generated content increased from the marketing scope and marketing channels, marketing content, and so on?
Is UGM a term you came up with, or is that,
Yeah, I just came up with it. I
yeah?
haven't
Okay,
Googled,
I love that.
but we'll just have to see. Maybe I need to start writing about it. When you invent
I
something,
love
it
it.
makes you famous.
Well, I mean, I think you nailed it. Like, it's a very astute, observation by you, because that's, you nailed it. I mean, for the longest time, UGC was just a question of collecting content from customers
Yeah.
and sharing them on socials, and it was very kind of restricted to social channels. In no way, like, do I see that being the the kind of scope of UGC. It extends, like you're saying, definitely beyond that. In
Mhm.
terms of like type of UGC that you collect, it's not just pictures of customers with products. It's not just reviews. It's a combination of that. And what it comes down to is, sure, the inputs are customer pictures and videos with your product. There are reviews and testimonials of your product, and there's several other kind of small things that go with it, kind of use cases for your product, and different things that customers are submitting
Mhm.
as content. But the output of that is what we like to focus on, is storytelling, right? It's how does your customer tell their story about their experience with your product, and package that together. And so, not to bring this back to our product, but that's the
Yeah.
inputs. Is we collect
Please.
video, images, testimonials, even bios about the customer, right? Who is this person? Like,
Mhm.
it's one thing to just say, this is an amazing product, I love it. But
Mhm.
starting with, this is who I am, this is where
Mhm.
I live, this is a little bit about me. And then this
Mhm.
is how I use the product, that adds more context to it, right?
Mhm.
So, taking that as inputs, adding like a shoppable element to it. So we could tag the product in there so it's shoppable.
Mhm.
And then adding the conversational element of it too, is how it's all packaged together. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, very simply, is it's like I said, it's telling a story about
Mhm.
the user and about the product with that. And then that extends to the UGM side, which I love, actually. I might even
Mhm.
adopt that if that's okay.
Yeah,
But
please.
that adopts to the kind of positioning throughout your shopping journey, right? And where you integrate it in
Yeah.
that shopping journey. And
Yeah.
sure, it's definitely on social, but it's also on your website, specifically strategically placed at key points or your website, for example, product pages, FAQs, things like that. Like, those are great places to add it. Abandoned cart sequences,
Mm.
that's really important too. Something that's often overlooked if you're looking to recapture or recover, a potential sale. Best ways
Yeah.
to help that shopper identify with your customer base. So social channels, websites, and kind of any other touch point that's suitable in your shopping journey is where this UGC should go. So, I mean, in a nutshell, UGM, right? I love it.
Yes, UGM, go UGM.
Yep.
Yeah, and thanks for I think the thing I learned, which is kind of new from this, is the bio side. Having prospective customers, knowing who this person is, I think it's a good place because they're ready to, I guess, in a way, it's, we work with people that we can relate to, right? If you can relate to them as the same similar ICP, then you get to the storytelling side, which I love. Um, the typical UGCs are often very, pam 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 pam, very actionable stuff. Share this image with this hashtag. I mean, that was how I knew UGC. Share this image on Instagram with this hashtag, and we'll repost it, or share a picture of yourself holding a product, and we'll repost it. That's typically how it used to be, but you've now given us why, from a storytelling scope, it is much more expanded. From a channel specific scope, using owned media, and UGC is like end media in a way, right? But you are even saying it can be used in owned media. So that makes it a bit expanded as well.
Mhm.
And then, talking about, the profile, back to the profile, which is what I mentioned. I love that aspect. I love the fact that somehow customers are able to identify who they are and let people know, come, we are the same, we are alike. Come, let's come and enjoy what I'm enjoying with this product or service or offering. Yes, this is a B2C, D2C episode, but if you are in the B2B space and you are listening, obviously, you can leverage this, right? You could reinvent case studies or testimonials, or I would still say maybe UGC or UGM in B2B, um, almost exactly in this light as well. So the next question really is looking at the buying journey, or in our case, the funnel, right? The marketing funnel. I mean, some people say there's no funnel, there's flywheel. I think it's just all tricks to be famous. But thank God I have UGM, so I can use that going. Anyway, digress. Um, how do you say, okay, this is the stage where user generated content or marketing can be useful? Is it just in the advocacy stage? Is it just in the retention stage? Or there are sort of nuances to that? Just to expand our minds here.
No, it really is just in later stages of the shopping journey for sure. It's it comes down to just improving your shopping experience on your website. It comes down to CRO and just giving
Mm.
shoppers opportunities to connect more with your product. I mean, I like what you're highlighting before about sharing stories, and the importance of that. I think what's happened is, UGC is not just collecting images from customers. Reviews kind of falls under the UGC umbrella.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go to brands websites and they'll have 3,000 reviews, and it's all like one or two sentences in a product. And it's become so kind of so heavy and convoluted that we have these AI summarizers of reviews. So it's like, there's
Yeah.
AI tools that would just kind of scrape like 3,000 reviews and give you the high level summary. And it's like the, the purpose, because now you're just having this machine summarize what's going on. And that's not what I'm looking for as a shopper. Like, I want to know who these people are. Like, humans are
Yeah.
very social, and there's that herd mentality, and there's
Yeah.
community that
FOMO.
is, exactly, all that, right? All those kind of
Yeah.
social terms. So giving
Yeah.
someone the opportunity to identify with someone is where that really comes into place, and comes into place with our platform. Now, I know I kind of derailed off of your initial question, but
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no. I actually had a question that, when in terms of, you mentioned the use of AI in reviewing some of this UGC content. But would you say that's useful for a marketer? Like, would marketers will it be beneficial to somebody like me to say, AI, give me the top 10 problems from these 3,000 reviews on my product? Or give me the top 10 things to put on my website based on these 3,000 reviews. Do you think a marketer can do that and need to do that? Would that be useful?
1,000% that's useful for a marketer. There's no question. It'd be hard to argue that. And actually, we're building some tools in that space to support marketers to see kind of where they could use help. Because it's one thing to collect reviews; it's another
Mm,
thing to create actionable items from those reviews.
mm,
Now, from the I think that what marketers should focus on is coming back to what's useful for their shopper, right?
Yeah.
And is AI useful for a shopper? It could be. And it's actually a question we get a lot from investors and okay, this is great having shoppers kind of connect with customers and answering questions, but what about the threat of AI and like this could all be kind of automated and have AI
Mm,
replace this, right? And I
mm,
think that, what's going to happen is, I mean, people are going to get so tired and used to speaking with robots that they're going to eventually want to regress back to looking for human connections and elements. And as so many marketers and brands kind of navigate down the AI space, they're going to omit that human element that's
yeah,
so
they
important
will.
in creating
Yeah.
a connection with shoppers that we're going to be perfectly positioned.
Yeah, it's so convenient, right? AI. But we'll
Yeah.
see. I used to tell my wife that if people don't listen and improve, then that gives you a space to shine. At least you've done your best. So,
Sure.
a brand listening to this podcast, you are very lucky because hopefully you will be the one to stand out and listen to all the great things that we've said so far, especially from Mark when it comes to user generated content. I think the biggest thing from this podcast, even though I still have one question left, is the fact that UGC has expanded. And so don't just look at it as just one simple social media campaign. It expanded way before that. Your prospects deserve more. Even you yourself deserve more. And it's one way that people hardly think about, Mark. We are all obsessed with acquisition. Nobody's obsessed with how to leverage retention or how to leverage advocacy to even expand revenue, from the inside out. So really, really, really excited about this one. And guys, if you are on the pod, please just share. That's all I'm asking you. Even regardless of the industry you are, hopefully you are finding this very useful. You might have a load of clients that you've not even leveraged at all. You may want to go back and see if you guys can do something together when it comes to UGC, and then use that to evangelize your brand going forward. That don't take my word for it campaign, something like that. But in the case of which we are discussing here, I have one more question, Mark. But before then, we'll take a quick commercial break, and then it will be the dots rapid fire. It's a very hot fire, but I think you'll survive. So let's see. We'll be right back. Guys, welcome back. So, like I said, it's the dots rapid fire. Mark is in the marketing court of law, or in this case, the hot kitchen. And he's going to say the truth and nothing but the truth. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So, the first question: what is your favorite marketing metric apart from sales or revenue?
Apart from shows of revenue. I'd have to go with just CRO. I think that's what this all comes down to in terms of like our focus on
Can
helping
you tell us what
e-com.
that means?
CRO is a conversion rate optimization.
Yeah.
So just, the number of people that come to your website versus the number of people that purchased from your website. The reason why I love it is just it's such a fun number to play and test with because you could do things on your website that improve CRO and just a small like half percentage improvement in CRO can mean a significant number in new conversions. So CRO is my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. And that makes sense, especially for the industry. I do follow, I cannot remember their name now, a website that tracks quarterly benchmarks, global benchmarks on conversion rates in the e-commerce space.
Right.
Um, I can't remember the name. Start with an M, but anyway. But yeah, it's very, 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 very important. Okay, next question. How long do you use social media every day for work?
From a work standpoint, I mean, we're also B2B, right? So we sell to other businesses.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
we
yeah.
focus primarily on LinkedIn. Maybe half an hour, 45 minutes a day. Not too often. We're just posting and engaging. Twitter
Yeah.
too. There's a big e-commerce community on Twitter, so we'll spend some time there.
Mm.
If you're if you're looking for an exact number, it's less than an hour for sure.
We didn't. Yeah, that an hour is like the most popular. So if you're doing less than an hour, that's really, really awesome. But yeah, I'll take that. Okay. Last question, rapid fire. What is your favorite marketing quote?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a specific quote to share, maybe more of
Mm.
like,
A saying,
a
a,
saying.
life
Yeah.
guide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
please.
again, this is kind of related to like our field of expertise, but I like to go back to like the best marketing today doesn't actually feel like marketing. And if you study what a lot of brands are doing and having success, like a lot of times you'll just be consuming content and not even realize that this content is sponsored or there's a purpose behind this content or you're being kind of sold something. And it's not necessarily in like a nefarious way. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just seamlessly blending content with entertainment and storytelling. And if you
Yeah.
get that mix right, then the rest will follow, right? Because then you'll just start to build an audience and you'll start to build followers and build, a connection with customers. And I think that's what comes first, like, build your audience first and then sell to them versus the
Mm,
other way around. And
mm.
just doing that, like creating that kind of storytelling is the right way to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know the quote. Most people say it's credited to Tom Fishburne. So, but I'm not sure. Quotes these days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Someone's gonna copy that quote, change a few words, and call it their own. So who knows where
yeah,
to give it credit?
exactly.
But
You know,
and the whole marketing community can take credit for that quote because it's certainly important.
yeah, it is for sure. It is hashtag UGM. By the way,
Yeah, UGM. I might take
okay,
that one.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So the last question, really, and we've been teasing this for a while, is your idea of connecting shoppers or prospects with a brand's, loyal customers, to acquire more customers. And this can be very serious, Mark. Now there is this movement in purchase of smart vacuum cleaners. These are very expensive. They are like up to 2,000 in some cases. And I would almost bet that if you have a customer now that is in that space and you use this tactic for them, it's gonna work because people are like, "Ah, you need to buy this. Oh, this is good. You need to buy this instead." I'm like, "Why can't I just make my own research on the vacuum I
yeah,
want to buy?" So, it's pretty important. So tell us how it works. I've got a few follow-up questions around it as well, because I was studying it, for some days before this interview. Well, I think it's a pretty interesting, I guess, marketing tactic for those of us on the pod.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, like UGC, most people think of, I need UGC, I need to implement UGC into my marketing, into my commerce. The first thing they'll think is to go out and find like a UGC creator that they could send
Mm,
their product to, and that person will just get the product for free, maybe charge a fee as well, and they'll just take a bunch of content and share it. And that is not necessarily a bad strategy. It works, especially if the creator is going to share it on their own channels, you create some decent top of funnel and
yeah.
you get some content that you could implement in other places. But not only is that an expensive strategy to pursue, it's very inauthentic, and a lot of times your
Yeah.
shoppers see through that. our
Yeah.
our tactic with UGC is to kind of leverage your existing customer base and work with them, your happy customers that already love your product, and kind
Mm,
of incentivize and reward them to create UGC for you. Now how it works specifically is, brands set up a campaign, they'll um, email their customer base and again, just kind of share what they're looking for, what kind of UGC they're looking for. And that's all automated. And then customers participate. They'll, share their story with the product, share their bio, upload pictures, videos.
mm,
And that's all kind of collected. And then it's displayed
mm,
on the website, integrated on the website.
mm.
The content could also be repurposed for socials, but the
Yeah.
primary focus is to get that content on your website and improve kind of your lower on funnel. And
Mm,
where it gets unique is there's two ways of implementing the content on your website. Right now we have a library of just two widgets, and we're going to keep expanding on this widget library. But you
mm,
have the kind of a carousel widget, which is quite popular now. You could kind of integrate this carousel onto your site. You'll have profiles, images, all that, and you could kind of scroll through it. But we
mm,
also have a map widget, so we could,
mm.
since we have customer locations as well, you could integrate it through this interactive map widget that sort of looks like Airbnb, where you have cards on the left and pins on the right. And shoppers could actually find people in their community as well, like people that own
Wow.
products and using them in the same context that you're using them. For example, take like a kayak company, for example. If you're
Yeah.
buying a kayak and you find someone in Calgary that owns that kayak, they're
Yeah.
using it in similar lakes, rivers, streams that you would be using it. And you could ask them, hey, how does it hold up in this specific
Yeah. Yeah.
um, river? And that's kind of
Yeah.
the localized experience, which is powerful as well. And then,
Wow.
the final element is why this is a conversational UGC app is because we allow that interaction to take place, which adds a level of trust and kind of authenticity for the brand, because not only are you saying like, here's my customer base, check
Mm.
out their stories, but you take that a step further and say, we're so transparent, you can have conversations with our customers and they'll help you answer your questions. And yeah, kind
Wow.
of packaging that all together comes back to, why CRO is my favorite metric, because when brands ask me, okay, I love this, what's kind of my takeaway for this? Why do I need this? I mean, hey, if
Yeah.
we could help you improve your CRO, your conversion rate on your website by a half a percentage point, I mean, the product will pay for itself and more. So that's
Wow.
kind of how I'd summarize it.
Yeah, and you guys are onto something here. Maybe you should dive deep into B2B one day. And help SaaS folks for
We do have a
example.
few brands, a few kind of software platforms, tech platforms in the short-term rental space, in the fitness space, kind of building software for fitness companies. They're
Mm.
using our platform too, because the concept is the same, right? It's
Yeah.
connecting, one of your prospective buyers, whether that be an individual or a business, with an existing customer. So it works quite well. Where we're going now is we're pivoting towards it, not pivoting, but we're focusing on building a Shopify app, which is obviously primarily for e-commerce
I,
brands.
I was going to
But
say that how is this better than a stamp.io, a tool that I'm a bit of a fan of.
yeah, well, I mean, the conversational element is the one of the differentiators there amongst,
Yeah.
a handful of other features that, brands will see why this works for them. But we still have our web app that kind of SaaS
Mm,
platforms could integrate as well.
mm. Interesting. I mean, speaking of that, let me just get straight to, again, great concept, very interesting concept. I you see that bulb all over my head, yeah, in terms of how this sort of stands out from things like testimonials or short form, UGC and some of these other examples out there, which are still great. I'm not a, and I'll say this, if you like, drag me on social media, but I'm not a fan of getting UGC from a YouTuber or a celebrity or an influencer. That's different. That's influencer marketing. If you're
Hmm.
doing UGC, it has to come from customers. That's it. Except if that UGC has been a customer, which is kind of like a tricky situation, but you might be lucky. For example, I used to tell people in the B2C space, if Nivea comes to me to sponsor, say, this episode, I've been using Nivea ever since I was an adult. So that's very natural. But sometimes it's just tricky. People, like you said, sometimes they see through that. So it has to be customers. I think that's the first place to start. Even if you have one customer, start, and then you take it from there. So nice concept. Where can people learn more from you, Mark, about this? Um, and continue to follow your work, especially on this topic. You seem to be changing the game, and thank you for everything that you have shared so far regarding it too.
Thank you. No, I appreciate the kind words, Dot. Find us, through our website, moast.io. It's moast.io. Uh, LinkedIn, tend to be pretty active on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
and or Twitter as well. X, I guess they call it X now. So yeah, any one of those channels, or they could just send us an email, send me an email, mark@moast.io, and happy to share more. So
All right. Guys, that's the end of the episode today. It's been an exciting one. And we have a lot of exciting episodes like this one on my website. It's at dotslovesmarketing.com. You can also subscribe to the Marketing Leadership Podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Marketing Leadership and make sure to hit that bell. It helps. I'd like to thank Des Free Content Allies and Listen Network for helping us build this. Till next time, connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Leadership Podcast, brought to you by Listen Network. There will be links to resources mentioned in today's show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.